Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Origins Spotlight. I'm Paul McGraw, and I'm the events manager for Origins Game Fair. And tonight I'm with Chris Volpe, CEO and president of Multivarious, and executive director of GDEX, who will be joining us as a show partner this year. They're going to have some space with us to run some super fun events, and we've got them on tonight to talk about that. Chris, did you want to say anything about GDEX before we get going?
Well, first of all, just happy to be here. Happy to have a opportunity to chat about GDEX and to just be a part of the Origins family. I personally have been coming to Origins for, I don't know, over 20 years. So I think I've made almost everyone in the past 20 years. And so I'm excited and I can go into all the background about GDEX at some point here, but just glad to be here. Happy to chat with you all. Excited to take some questions and stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're happy to have you. And I'm glad you're an attendee and you know kind of how this works. So that's going to be fantastic this year. You're going to hit the ground running with us. So
yeah, it's also my birthday. So cheers.
Well, yes, don't forget, happy birthday. We'll sing it at the end, I promise. Just kidding.
Yeah, please. No need.
Yeah, so just to let everybody know, since we're going to be partnering with GDEX this year, if you wanted to have a badge to our show, it would also be good for their show. We're all going to be co-located in the Greater Columbus Convention Center. All of our events, all of our badges, those will all work together in the same system. So we won't need any other outside pieces of technology. Just come and join like you usually do, and you'll have access to all of their events. So I suppose we can dive into some questions about GDEX and get a little more specific about it. Can you tell people what GDEX is?
Yeah, so I'll give you the long short story. GDEX is a gaming and creative technology expo. This is year 9 for it, which kind of blows my mind. We started it many moons ago as just a way for Columbus developers. So we have a group called COG, C-O-G-G, thecog.com, and that's our local development group. And we just started it as a way for developers to kind of showcase what they were working on. We teamed up with some folks at OSU, and we had a couple rooms in the OSU Union, just a couple like the breakout rooms. And we hadn't really designed it to be this big thing. I personally was like, if I can get like 50 people to come to this thing, I'll consider that a win. We just had it for the day. We were gonna just have like little tables and showcase. And it was set to be in September. And then we were about 2 weeks away from the event. And I still don't know what happened, if we got some blog post or somebody wrote something about us, but we had like 65 tickets sold at the time. I think we had 15 exhibitors. It was sort of on par for what we were hoping for. But all of a sudden, I just got blown up with emails, people wanting to speak and exhibit and sponsor. And I'm like, well, what do we do here? We're 2 weeks away, right? And so we talked to the team and I was like, I don't know if this is going to happen again, this kind of excitement. So we ended up pushing the show back first week of December, biggest blizzard of the year. Well, we ended up with all day speaking sessions. We had 33 exhibitors, charity events, like fun tournaments. And we had to use larger rooms. So we moved out of the 2 breakout rooms in these larger rooms. And we ended up with people from 8 states in Canada come to it. And so it became a much larger show, and it was really exciting.
So kind of just took off real quick there, huh? With that being said, I think to point out a little bit of a difference between our 2 shows, we really focus on non-electronic gaming, so a lot of board games, tabletops, RPGs, LARPs, that sort of thing. For your crew, I believe that you guys focus a little more on the electronic side of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we focus on video gaming, electronic gaming. We have had a tabletop board game section in the past. We almost always have a sort of tabletop electronic conversion, either workshops or companies that are currently doing board game tabletop conversion into apps or electronic games. But yeah, that's kind of been our focus. That's what we do. So Multivarious is my company. And that's what we do day to day, is we work on apps, websites, those kind of experiences. And so that's kind of just where we started.
That's awesome. So I know you guys have a lot of exciting exhibitors that come to your show, and I know that we're going to be having a section of the exhibit hall dedicated to your exhibitors this year. Can you tell us about some of the exhibitors you've seen in the past coming out to your show? And I don't know if you have any that you can share with us now, maybe later, but if you can.
Yeah, so we're knee deep in the application process for our exhibitors. So a little inside behind the curtains. COVID threw a wrench in a lot of events, and so up
What?
until yeah, so up until early June, so 3 weeks ago, we weren't even sure we were going to have a show because the COVID restrictions are still there, and because the convention center was kind of like lifting up the rooms, everyone's fighting. It's like Thunderdome out there, Mad Max world, trying to fight for space. Which is another cool thing where you and us are working together, because this way we don't have to fight for space. We don't have to fight for hotel blocks. We can all work together. So we're still in the middle of getting our exhibitor applications. But in the past, we do a lot of indie games, a lot of people from across, like I said, originally it was just kind of a Columbus thing. In 2019, we had people from 25 states and several countries come to it. So we get all sorts of cool indie games coming in. Sony has been there in the past. They came a few years ago and showcased Spider-Man, which was really rad. We've had Xbox there before showcasing games. So we are trying to figure out with our partners, because even a lot of like the big companies still don't even know what their event year is going to look like. So we're kind of waiting to hear back from them, but we're hoping to begin posting our announcements over the next couple of weeks. But regardless of where we end up, we always have great games, great experiences. Our virtual reality section has, again, another thing we kind of started as like a small, let's just have this small little area and show some sort of experimental VR games. That's grown year after year after year, and there is some really rad stuff that we've showcased over the past few years, as the virtual reality tech is getting better and people are beginning to understand it more. So there's some really, really awesome VR stuff that usually comes. And then, of course, we're going to have tournaments. So we've done free play before, where we'll have a section. We're going to be in one of the ballrooms this year. So we'll have probably, not committing to anything yet, but typically probably a Mario Kart tournament's always fun. Smash Brothers, we did a really cool Smash Brothers tournament a few years ago where we had some professional players come out. And then we've done something called Boss Battles, where we get professional esports athletes to come out and you get to play against them in a game. So, Smash Bros, Rocket League, whatever. So it's, we always compare it to, like, imagine, being able to go play a basketball against like LeBron James or something. Like I played against one of he was the number 2 ranked Smash Brothers player in the Midwest, I believe. And he just totally destroyed. I mean, he wasn't even like thinking about, he was like having like 4 other conversations while he was destroying me. So we're gonna try to do that, bring in some pro players. That's always fun. And then we always just have fun, like little tournaments. Beat Saber, virtual reality game. If you've never heard of that, it's a music VR game. We usually do little tournaments around that. And we just try to have like fun little experiences where you don't have to be a super pro gamer. You don't have to like, be top notch at any experience. It's just fun to sort of play.
Okay. Well, as an online gamer and as a console gamer, I love what you're saying. I'm excited to see it, and I'll definitely have my Switch with me so I can play too potentially.
Awesome. What games are you playing?
Oh gosh. My most recent thing that I'm still obsessed with is Monster Hunter Rise. So
okay,
I have not put that game down yet. I'm trying, but it's addicting.
You Monster Hunter kids, yeah.
Yes, it's fantastic. I actually have a question from the crowd. They were saying, does GDEX do PC gaming or just console?
So we do PC gaming. Here's another fun fact. I like to be very open and transparent about just our show and how things are going. So we do PC gaming, but it usually tends to be a lesser component, not because we don't like PC gaming or anything, but because the costs of internet at convention centers are very high. And it makes it challenging to do something that's cost effective in the PC space if it requires an internet connection. And so sometimes we'll do games if we can, land them together. or we've made use of the convention centers. They got a couple cell hotspots for some carriers, and so we'll do those kind of things. So the answer I always say is like, yes, we want to do more. I have gotten sucked into Fortnite lately. Hearthstone is always something we get a lot of requests for, and so there's plenty of PC games that we want to bring back. Rocket League again, or we've got connections to a couple like really cool Rocket League teams, pro teams that we want to come in and play with people. Or even we've been thinking about doing like instructor sessions where pro teams will kind of like help walk you through, here's some things you should keep in mind, or, how do you move from being a hobbyist amateur into the more professional realm for some of these games, and you get to work directly with them. So that's the kind of things that we're thinking about that we really want to do. But the internet costs are always challenging, just being, honest with you all. It's a very challenging area to circumvent.
Yeah. I just I saw a comment from one of our viewers, and they basically just said Tetris battle, which does raise a big question though. Yeah, go ahead.
Fun fact: we have had several times. One of our friends, Chris Bidwell, who is a Ohio resident, he's like a Tetris champion, and he loves Tetris and some of those games. So we have had little Tetris battles before and boss battles around Tetris.
That's awesome.
I would love to see. Every time I say this, people look at me like I'm crazy. But I was like, dude, we should do like a Dr. Mario tournament or something,
Yes.
So I just don't know. Like I just turned 40 today, so Dr. Mario is like my jam in my space. I don't know if when I say Dr. Mario, people look at me and be like, he's a plumber, right? I was like, apparently he's a doctor too. I don't know.
He wears many hats. Trust me.
Yes,
I've seen them.
Yeah, he's been around a while.
That's fantastic. And a follow-up question, by the way, for the exhibit hall crew. Do you see a lot of games coming in for playtesting so that people can maybe get a view on something new coming out in the future potentially?
Yeah, so we have lots of games that come to GDEX that are, we probably have like a contingent of games that are on the market, a contingent of games that are like in early access or like right there, and then a contingent of games that are in early to mid stage development. And what we do, so we do a curated show. So when companies apply, we look at the application, we look at the games, and we decide like, not is the game good or bad necessarily, but like, is the game ready to be shown? Because we want the experience for our guests to be good, and we want the experience for our exhibitors to be good. And like, if the game's not quite ready, software development's hard, and sometimes you just get stuck in that phase where it's like crashing, every 20 minutes or 30 minutes mid game. So we want to make sure that that's not happening. But we do have, or we've traditionally had our ICE section, which is ISE, and that stands for Independent Student Experimental. And that's specifically designed for people who are, maybe this is their first game that they're making, their first project, and they just want to get feedback. And so we offer them a low cost way to be involved in the show. We are not 100% sure if we're going to do the ICE section. It's something that I came up with many, many years ago, and I really love it. And I think it's important because our whole goal is community development and to help startup companies get off the ground. And our ultimate goal at GDEX is to create a gaming ecosystem and industry here in Columbus and Ohio in the Midwest. And so the ICE section is very important to me, but we're very limited on space this year. So we're going to see how that works. And we may end up throwing our ICE section maybe in our tournament area. So you can come check out some ICE stuff and then do tournaments or whatever. But short answer is yes, you'll get to see a lot of games in different stages of development and a lot of ideas. We've got a couple established companies that are like, the hardest part for some of these companies is like they don't feel quite like they're ready to showcase something yet. And so I'm always like kind of poking them. I'm like, you should come to GDEX and like showcase their thing. I was like, well, I don't know if we'll be quite ready for it yet. And I was like, just come. People will love it, even if it's a hot mess. So we've got a couple established companies that I'm kind of bugging to just show their new thing at the show. So We'll see what they say. See if I can sweet talk them into it.
People love to get a look behind the curtain and see how everything is being built and how it's developing. So I can see that being a really big draw, and seeing a lot of our attendees getting excited for it. So I
Totally. Yeah,
hope good
that's
luck.
one of the reasons we try to be as transparent as we can about the show itself, because I've just found over the years, like, people just really love to see what's happening behind the curtain, and they'll come up to us and be like, "Oh God, GDEX was amazing. It was such a great show. Like, you guys look like you have everything organized," and then the rest of the teams in the back like, "Oh God, oh God, we barely made it. We barely made it." But
I know
like,
the feeling.
but people like to see that. They like to see, how these things work, and we are open with how we do our shows, so that that's one of the things I love about the gaming industry. And I've worked in a lot of different industries, a lot of different like corporate realms, but the gaming industry is always like we're here to help each other out. We'll share contacts and networks. I've seen exhibitors when like stuff's going wrong, other exhibitors like coming to their booth to help them do setup or to like play test and bug test a game, because it always happens where you're like, the game works until you get to the show and then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore, or it's like busted for some reason. People are like frantically trying to fix it before doors open. And so other teams are kind of going there to help them out. And I think that's a really awesome part of what makes our industry great.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. Just knowing that, just seeing the crowd every year at Origins, knowing about how inclusive and how accepting and how willing everyone is to lend a hand at times, it's very inspiring. I love our attendees. I love our crowd. So,
Yeah,
and I'm glad to be joining with yours. It's going to be fantastic this year.
yeah,
Another thing I
I'm
think.
excited.
Oh, good, good.
Okay.
Another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was the Origins Pin Bazaar, and the merch that we're going to have this year. I know that we're partnering with you. You have an artist on your staff who's going to be designing some of the things, and I can see your beautiful background that I'm sure
Yes,
she had a hand in. So
she did. Yep.
I don't know how much we can share about it. I don't think we have any images at this point. We'll be releasing those pretty soon, but just to let everybody know that beautiful design behind you, um, I would say that the art that we'll have on our pins will be reminiscent of that.
So I actually just got, this is hot off the presses. I just got an
Oh,
email saying that folks are cool with it. So I'm gonna go with it, and if the world explodes, but I'm gonna do this. If I can steal this, are people seeing it? I think I have permission to steal the screen.
oh yeah, it's on there.
It's
You
on
might have
there,
to
the
scroll
pin.
around a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Um,
I can't quite see what you all can
it's
see.
it's somewhat cut off, but we can kind of
Okay,
see how cutesy. I love the crit eyes. Those are very cutesy. There we go. Everybody's seeing that now.
okay, cool. So this is our test PDF that we sent out. So we've got 6 pins, and for those of you who are Origins folks, you know that typically there's a kind of like a starter pack and then a combination of other ones you can grab or buy or whatever. So I'm not saying what's what or whatever. I'm just sort of talking. But we've got the cityscape with the Origins logo. The concept for Origins this year, which is one of the cool things, is this origin story superhero concept of how you got into gaming, whether it be video gaming or tabletop or board games or whatever. So we're looking at doing a pin where you can kind of write that in. And then we of course have your crit selection. So we took our take on crit. We've got crit as a superhero with the cape. We've got crit replacing the Joker card from a card deck, and then our table crit, which is part of your ethos, which is that there's a table for everybody. Everyone's welcome to come in and play games. And then we have our special selection, which is our dragon. So our dragon is, let me switch over just for fun. We're doing it on the fly here. I'm gonna stop share. I'm gonna switch over to our characters. So these are our characters for GDEX. So we have G and then D.exe, who is a computer construct created by G, who's our programmer. And then we have Carrie over here, who is the sort of ruler of GDEX Underworld, which is our tournament area. And so these are the characters that we've had in the past that we've been kind of building on our sort of family here. So swapping back. to our pins here. We were thinking about like what was a cool idea for this year, and the obvious answer was kind of like post pandemic, we're all kind of coming back out of this phase, and so we wanted to do something that was kind of reflective of that without being like directly related to it. So this is our healing dragon, with its healing berries. So we created a little healing dragon pin, which you can see is now sort of the character that's represented on our website, and has been my background image throughout this thing. So we're gonna have this our healing dragon pin, so you can see whichever. I'm ducking and weaving here on the background. But we're excited. We're excited to do pins and be a part of it. And yes, our artist Katie, her handle is Elentori, Elentori. She does a lot of Twitch, and particularly on Twitch, she does a lot of drawing and teaching. So if you're interested in digital painting and creation, she would be a good channel to check out. And she also has a really robust Instagram, so I would check that out. But yeah, she's our artist. She's a partner in the company. And she's helped create the sort of the GDEX family of characters. But yeah, and we've got we don't have anything to show, but we are working on our shirt designs as well. I think we got something pretty cool for that. So I hope that everyone's excited to see these sort of mashups and new concepts for some of these characters, and just everybody getting back to being the physical community again, and sharing their experiences and whatnot in person.
I know very much that I'm excited to get my hands on every one of those pins and add them to my collection. I have a whole pin wall at home, so I'm excited about that. And
nice.
I love the dragon, and Crit's
I didn't
adorable,
bring
so.
it. I should have brought. I'm hanging out with my wife right now. She's in the back there. But I have a bag too. It's a Nintendo. It's like a satchel that looks like a Nintendo controller, and I've got all my pins that I collect, but I didn't bring it. I didn't think to bring it.
Okay, I'll show you mine just because, but
do it.
I've got a few on my bag as well, from like
nice.
Totoro, Snorlax, Garnet from Steven Universe. So I like to wear them around as well. But
nice.
We had a question come in, and hopefully we can kind of take a step back and get back into this a little bit. I know you said you're not sure if you're going to have the ISE section this year. If you do, is that something that you'll be submitting events for? Or do people just kind of show up to be a part of that? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's just the goal with our ICE section was to have it be a exhibitor booth, exhibitor feel, but without all of the sort of like stress and anxiety of like, how do I set up a full booth? So it's kind of like a tabletop where they can come and showcase. And we do get ICE exhibitors that will make banners or cutouts and things, but we wanted people to be able to come and showcase their work and be proud of it, but without the stress of having like a full booth set up. So yeah, it's not typically it's not like an event you have to go sign up for or anything. It's there all weekend. You can kind of come as you want.
Fun, like hands-on jump-in experience.
Yep. And I think that's a lot of what we'll be adding from the gaming perspective is, maybe there's a host of tournaments and events that you want to take place at that, are the normal things you go to at Origins. And I'm totally blanking on the name. Was it like Hero Click or whatever?
HeroClix?
Really big? Yeah, HeroClix. I know that's huge. But I also know that there's a lot of downtime between tournaments and that in different ways. So the GDEX section is a perfect thing where if you need to quote unquote kill 20 or 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, you can pop in, check out the Origins exhibitors, come check out the games at GDEX, and then move on to your next thing. So we'll be there all weekend.
Fantastic. I had one more question come in. The show hours for your spaces. I know for the exhibit hall, we have the regular 10 to 6 from Friday through Sunday, 10 to 4 on Sunday. For our exhibit space, or pardon me, our gaming spaces, those, depending on where they are, if they're outside of the gaming hall, can be open whenever. You'll have the ability to kind of control your room. Will it be open throughout the entire day? Do you guys have any late night AM hour stuff that you have happening, or is there going to be a set schedule?
Yeah, so typically we do our tournaments, or like our official tournaments. We try to keep in the 10 to 6 block to allow everyone the opportunity to participate and not have like weird off hours or early hours. But after that, we might do a lot of other events too. So our goal is to have lots of things that you can do um, for throughout the weekend. That's easy to jump into and be a part of. So
And I know your schedule's not set in stone just yet, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can get synced up on that, and maybe I can introduce you to some of our super late night crowds,
mhm.
and see if we can get some fun events going for them too.
Absolutely. I'm
Um,
already getting people sending me emails and texts about things that they want to do, little games, or I guess I didn't mention this, but I have a board game design company as well called False Flag Games. We had our first game, DiceBot Mega Fun. Some of you may have heard of, was published under WizKids a few years ago. But we're probably just going to do some fun play testing and stuff. So we will definitely be doing things all throughout the weekend at a variety of times. So we'll make sure any of these specific events get put into the Origins app and calendar. And then the rest of the things that are just sort of pop in and come and have fun, they'll be available, all weekend long.
Fabulous. I know that seminars are also a big part of your show. You do a lot of teaching. I know I have a few friends who have exhibited, or pardon me, provided some seminars specifically on accessibility and gaming for your attendees before. I don't think obviously we have a schedule for those set in place, but if you could talk about some of the other ones that maybe you provided in years past to see kind of if we can get an idea for our attendees.
Yeah, absolutely. So our typical uh, educational sessions, we have a variety of stuff. I mean, we have things from how to start your own business, how to incorporate, how to get started on game design, and that can be both board game and video game design. We have lawyers come that help on a variety of stuff. So we are going to offer a lot of different uh, opportunities for people to come and learn. But on the accessibility front in particular, we work with the Able Gamers charity, who they try to help folks develop games that have physical and mental disabilities. So a good example, if anybody played like The Last of Us Part 2 last year, that game had an insane amount of accessibility features. And so the Able Gamers works with different companies to help them. And they actually are a part of our show, and they help us look at different products and stuff. And then we also do GDEX Perspectives, which is a series that I started, I think, 7 years ago, which is designed to have a session for people to talk about gaming from a different perspective. So in the past, we've had a women in gaming panel, LGBT in the gaming space. A couple years ago, my friend Dante did a session called Gaming While Black, which is kind of a riff on the like driving while black, kind of thing. And he had a great session, and he brought in some kids from his neighborhood to like be a part of the talk. So we're really trying to bring in. We've had international people come from outside of the country and give their perspective on what game development is like outside of the U.S. So we'll be doing a session on that. I don't have that nailed down. And then we also try to do a lot of hands-on workshops. And in the past, we've done, for those of you who are interested in like music composition and sound design, we've had some tech showcases where some of our partners that are in the music composition space, they just bring their tools, and it's like a hour and a half long come and mess around with stuff. So you get to mess around with all these cool tools and stuff that might cost you, $3,000 to $5,000 if you were to buy it, but you get to come and just spend some time and enjoy the experience and the technology.
Sounds super fun. I got another question from the crew here who are watching us, obviously, and kind of a general question for you.
Yes.
So we have volunteers at our show. They're a very big part of our show. We love our volunteer family that we have every year. do you guys need any volunteers in your space? And if not, or if so, how do people get in touch with you to get involved and maybe help out in that area or provide seminars?
Yeah, great question. So the answer is yes, we will need volunteers. We typically have a pretty, really good group, fun group of volunteers. Just, I would say, pay attention to our social media, which is at the GDEX, as well as our website, which is thegdex.com. We will be posting those applications shortly to be a part of that. So yeah, we're gonna have our own set of volunteers. Our volunteers are awesome. Yeah, they're great.
I feel you on that.
Do you want to come say hi?
Oh.
No.
My wife's in the background, like, our volunteers are amazing. She got to stick her head.
Maybe.
You don't want to stick your head in there? Okay.
Too late. We saw her.
She says hi.
We all say hi back. But yeah, I think that's our time for tonight. I want to thank you so much for coming out and chatting with us so we can get a better idea of what GDEX is. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing before we go?
Yeah, again, thank you for having me. I could chat about games all night. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this partnership. It just on sort of a personal level, it's really important to me and to my team and our community that games in whatever form they take, and the term I've been using creative technology as a term, are better known and understood and respected in the city and our state, because I think the power of games, and I think that we are starting to see, and the video game space in particular, we're starting to see some experiences that can only exist as games. It's such a new medium, and it's really starting to find its own in these past, I'd say, decade or so. And a big part of what I do, whether it's talking to city leaders or not-for-profits or funders and investors, to understand what this industry can do and what its community is capable of. We didn't really talk about our charity aspects very much, but we've helped raise over the past 9 years hundreds of thousands of dollars for like Nationwide Children's Hospital and Extra Life and other partners. And I think the gaming community is one of the best communities out there. It's always super welcoming, super giving. And I'm really proud of what we've managed to create and develop. And I'm super excited to partner with you all and see what we can do. Maybe we're having this conversation 10 years from now for my 50th birthday, and we're looking back at how we helped transform Columbus and Ohio into this mecca of gaming. So I'm very excited. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much again. We're so excited to have you as well. And yeah, thanks for everybody. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a wonderful night.
Yeah, take care, everybody.